My guest is Steve Williamson, Managing Director of Retail Services for Transwestern in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Steve.
Hey, John.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time. Give me a little bit of background, if you will, to what the retail development picture has been in the DFW market for, let's say, the past 3-4 years.
Right. Well, of course, we had a lot of retail development back in 05 and 6 and 7.
Everybody was crazy in 05, 06, and 07.
It was going crazy, and we had a lot of housing growth, job growth. And then the brakes got put on, and It happened for everybody across the country. Dallas, fortunately, did not have the same kind of recession, I think, that other parts of the country had. And,
how so?
Well, we had a diversified economy, and we just did not. We were able to continue to create jobs, and even though it was less than what it had been before.
Right.
And really, it does get down to job creation. And the last 3 or 4 years, Texas has led the nation in job creation, all the major cities, and as a result, you've had. Because of that job creation, you've had a lot of in-migration, new housing.
In-migration from where?
Other parts of the country.
Okay, not foreign as much as...
No, just, people relocating. And, there are, the jobs are continuing to come. There's been major relocations announced and new corporate facilities announced, in the news, even this year and last year. Toyota, State Farm. There's some major companies that are coming in major jobs, creating 10,000 employee jobs. And so that's bringing new housing, and as a result, demand for retail. And what's interesting is that demand for retail, because there just has not been a lot of new retail development the last 3 or 4 years, and I would say that's pretty much across the country. Dallas is really no different, and a lot of that was because of the capital markets, and the lenders were very concerned about pre-leasing. You also had a lot of the retailers who were changing their concepts and were downsizing, and so the scope of retail projects and the just the size of them and your tenant mix, there was a lot of changes going on in that. So now what's happening is we've had, because of new housing, new multifamily development, new single-family housing, new multifamily in infill areas, and even suburban multifamily, you're starting to have a big need for grocery stores. We have very active grocery store segment in DFW.
Specifically grocery-anchored shopping centers?
Grocery stores are expanding. Kroger, H-E-B, Walmart, of course. And so you are having new retail centers being created around these new grocery stores.
Are you seeing, how much of this is redevelopment, how much of this is new development? How much of it is downtown, how much of it is in the suburbs?
I think that infill has been something that all the retailers have been interested in doing. They want to capture that density.
Right.
And so redevelopment has been a big part of it. It just hasn't been on redevelopment. It's usually a smaller scale. Mm-hmm. And so from a just pure square footage standpoint, I think that's kind of kept those numbers down. In the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there are large suburbs that are growing. Some of the suburbs have increased by 100,000 population in just the last 10 years.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And so what's happening now is that you're seeing suburban grocery store anchored retail being built now.
What about the trend that we keep hearing about, entertainment retail and, shopping centers sort of filling both needs? You have your shopping center, you have your grocery store, but you also have a restaurant. You have a movie theater. Are you seeing a lot of that sort of development and trying to attract that segment of the population?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I think that retail, you continually hear about retail having to evolve. And when you think about it, retail shopping, going out to eat, there is a huge entertainment component of that.
Right.
Whether if it is picking out, your wife picking out a new outfit, or you're going to even pick out some sporting goods, going to
right.
a place like a Bass Pro or a Cabela's.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely an entertainment aspect to those particular stores. And restaurants are the same way. And I think developers, the good developers of retail that understand those components of entertainment being a vital part
mm-hmm.
of retail, I think if they're not seeing that, they're missing the boat.
What worries you? Everybody that we've talked to here said, man, it is just on fire. I always get a little bit suspicious of that because nothing lasts forever.
Right.
What worries you in your market?
I think just generally, I think that every retailer today, regardless who they are trying to think about how do we win new customers, how do we keep our customers,
right.
How do we become relevant?
And the customer base is changing so dramatically.
It is changing.
Right.
It is changing. And there's different segments, and obviously e-commerce is a big section, but I think retailers are finally starting to understand
They're getting smart.
They lean into that. That is
Right,
a
exactly.
very important part of their business, but it's not all of their business.
Exactly.
And there's still a big place for shopping experiences, bricks and mortar. And
right.
I think that the thing that it's not so much a worry, but I think the competition in the retail business is going to drive good changes. And
Gotcha.
I think the retailers and restaurants and even entertainment, if those users are not looking at how we stay relevant,
mm-hmm.
how we capture additional market share, those are going to be the guys that go by the wayside.
There's going to be a big shakeout because of all of the changes that are taking place.
Yeah.
And the winners will survive.
Oh, absolutely. It's an interesting time.
It is an interesting time. Steve, thank you so much for your time.
John, thank you.
I appreciate it. And thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us on Globe Street TV.